Chris Collins.
Hello.
Welcome to Heart of the City.
Welcome to me.
Welcome to me.
Welcome to me. Yeah.
Welcome to me. Welcome to you. Welcome to us today.
It's us today.
It's us. Welcome.
How was your New Year?
Oh, New Year. It was, kind of just lackluster. I was asleep at 10:30 and
Love it.
But no, it was good. It's just season of life, We're not out raging till all hours of the night right
I
now.
don't really think anybody is. But actually, no, I saw some stories.
Yeah, I'm like, I know some people, but they don't have kids.
I was a
so
little jealous.
Happy for them.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's funny. It's like a total lifestyle shift, and it just is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah. How was your New Year?
It was good. I was kind of doing the same low key. Aaron and I both had sort of a sweet New Year. We went to a cabin that's out in Saudi Daisy.
Fun.
It's right beside a creek, and just like kind of celebrated that way.
Nice.
We
Just the two
did
of
do
you?
New Year's with our kids, but then the next day
Sweet.
we went, and we do that every year. We take a couple of days. This time it was 3 to just plan and kind of check in. We have a passion planner meeting.
I love
And then
it.
it has kind of your personal and work, goals. And so we did our share of that and resting. So
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Ugh, we all need to be taking a note out of that book.
it's the meetings side of things. It's like dates and meetings will collide if you don't
Yeah.
it's a little bit of meetings during dates.
Yeah.
It's one thing, but
Trying to not
you
make
do
it.
need a proper family meeting.
It's
occasionally.
true.
So yeah.
We kind of do that monthly, but it's hard. It's hard to keep up with. It's just life's happening and it's easy to skip and push down on the priority list. And so I like that top of the year, just big.
Yeah. We do top of the year, and then if we can manage it, if we can get a beach trip in the summer and do a halftime check-in, that's really good. And our anniversary is in June.
Oh, that works.
So that kind of, it makes for good timing for that. So if not, we have one day where we do that.
Love it. Well, all of this tethers to so many things I'm excited to talk to you about today.
Yeah.
A lot of which are just, I've always admired your kind of habits and your routines, and just, I can tell you're not just one of those just spew it out because it's trendy. You truly are living out these very healthy and mindful routines for yourself. And you bestow upon us clients that are worthy enough to see you some of that knowledge. But I'm excited to share that today.
Everyone's worthy enough to see me.
I know. But for those of you who don't know, Chris Collins is an amazing chiropractor.
Thank you.
And beyond that, just a really amazing steward of wellness and health and care and passion for our body and our mind and our well-being. And it really resonates every time I'm with you, whether it's social or business or in the clinic. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
I have to take that in for a minute.
I'll put it in writing for you.
Yeah, that was really good. I think that's a great bio. Do you ever get nervous when people ask for bios, and even though you've written them a bajillion times and you probably could copy and paste them?
I feel like
I'm doing it from scratch every time.
I'm like, what's my name? Yeah. I don't know.
So I've got an idea for this year.
Okay.
If somebody asks you for your bio, just text me.
Oh.
And then if I need a bio,
I love this.
This makes it so much easier.
Bio buddies.
That's right.
You gotta collect your bio buddies. I'm obsessed with this. Okay, because the list would be short of the people I would ask to write a bio, but you'd be on it.
Okay.
You would.
Let's go.
Okay, I think we should actually do this and put it
Not
on
a
the
bad
Heart of the
idea.
City stories
Let's
for
try
each
it.
other. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do it after this. But that was kind of the other day in the office when do you call it the office, the clinic? What do you call your space?
I think I call it the office, the clinic.
Office, the
I
clinic.
don't call it a studio. I can tell you that.
This is a studio. I call this a studio.
This is a studio.
Okay, so the other day in the office, we were talking about I loved this. First of all, I just love the depth of our conversations, yet also the not depth. We are bouncing between absolutely mindless, just silly, or super deep, I'm probably crying. We're just it's one extreme or the other. But it was a really good kind of conversation we were having about, you were I'm really kind of hitting a wall these days as to when someone asked me what I do. You were like really kind of trying to reframe and recraft. I loved that. I almost think we need to like make a workshop out of that.
Yeah.
Because I think it really gets stale. Like when someone's like, so what do you do? You know, and you're like, I mean, how many times a week do you say it? But I still even kind of find myself stumbling, and it's just funny.
Yeah.
I just think that's like an interesting practice for you to really sit, especially at the top of the year, and like be thinking like, how do I want to portray myself when someone asks that?
It's an interesting question. I think most people would answer it with like, I do a lot of things.
I'm
But
incredible.
I think what's tough. No, I mean, not me. I think that most people, and you yourself included, I do a
see
lot of
what you're
things.
saying.
Like
So it's hard to like put into one sentence.
I was
see
up
what
this
you're
morning
saying.
making breakfast for my family. I was up last night changing bed sheets, or like, you know,
Right.
things like I, you know, met with my assistant this morning. Now I'm doing a podcast with you. You know, later on today, I'll have a meeting with someone else. And, you know, I've got these like emails to respond to. There's tons of things we are doing.
Totally.
But you know, the real question the person has on the other end of that is, what do you do for work?
Right. Like, how do you make money?
And then if you answer with your job role or like the actual answer, it's the most uninspiring answer, and it doesn't say anything about what you actually do or are
So
passionate about.
true.
So then it just shuts down the conversation. So from a conversation standpoint, you sort of are like, what do you want
You're
here?
just literally setting a bomb on it. Bye.
Yeah, that's right. So it's sometimes I just toss that question. I'm like, you know, or I just answer, yeah, I'm a chiropractor.
Ooh, and then it's like if someone's interested, they probably are going to follow up. Like, oh, really? What kind? Or
No, most of the time
oh,
people
with chiropractic, maybe
they're
not.
like, oh, I watch a ton of chiropractic videos, or they're
like,
like,
oh, I actually have this neck pain.
or they're super skeptical of me. They're like, oh, you must be one of those guys who wraps towels around people's heads. And I see people you're like the AI chiropractor who throws grandmas into the wall. And I'm just like, there's so much crazy stuff out there when it comes to
crazy.
chiropractic. Now I'm kind of like, do you know about chiropractic? Yes.
You answer
okay.
a question with a question.
Yeah. So, yeah, we do something different, and then it's in
Sparks.
chiropractic, but we do something different. So at least it gets them to that next level of like, well, what is different about what you do? And rather than them already associating something, you know, if you were like, I'm a magazine editor, or like, you know, somebody would just put together, oh, okay, what magazine? And they're, you know, boxing you in.
No, I usually am even like more grossly broad. And I'm like, I'm in marketing and advertising. That's the least interesting thing ever, and like so basic. I'm like, Amy. Yeah.
I would even say you're not, like, in some ways you're like in that human sphere of like, I'm connecting from a service standpoint, while like the vehicle or I guess the environment you're in is marketing and advertising.
Yeah, it's so wild.
Your vehicle is your business, but your like what you do is like a lot of human connection stuff. So it's like figuring out messaging in that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what do you do? Human connection. Can you imagine?
Which is
really scare people off.
Totally weird now.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Forte Fitness. What I love about Forte's personal training approach is it isn't focused on body image or outward appearance, but rather lifelong wellness and functional movement. Forte has been an integral part of my life and has seen me through a lot of seasons, including 2 pregnancies, 2 postpartum seasons, and now juggling 2 babies while still doing my best to prioritize my workouts. The team at Forte is all about meeting you where you are. Whether you've never picked up a weight in your life or you're ready for the next challenge, there is a place for you. Your first step will be a one-on-one consultation with the owner, Adam Lozano, and from there, he will pair you with the best trainer to meet your goals. Text Adam at 423-838-0086 to set up your consultation and mention Heart of the City to get your first 3 personal training sessions for free.
Which is, I mean, I think that's the conversation. You know, part of the reason I was having that conversation with you too was because we've got all this AI stuff now. ChatGPT is, you know, writing most people's posts, including some of our own. I mean, we try to make them human. We use it for drafting and stuff like that. But, you know, it's bringing people away from that, like, what's the clear message? Because you're having to read through all this fluff to get to the, like, actual message of something. So messaging is really important. And I think it's, in particular, important for us because we do help people with a lot of really important lifestyle stuff. It can be life-changing when somebody comes into our clinic. So that's a big reason to get our messaging right.
Yeah.
So if we don't, you know, then it can be confusing, and people who are confused can't always make a good decision.
So true.
So,
Okay, so back to what makes you different.
yeah.
I have to totally I'm just really going to bear all today, okay?
Bear all of it.
I went back when I was prepping for this. I was on the phone with Sally, and I had written something about the fact that you have the upper cervical specialty.
Yeah.
And she said something like, wait, upper cervical, what? And I was like, wait, what is your actual question? And she was like, is he doing like cervix checks? And I'm like, thank you. I was like, because the first time I met with this man, and I was literally like supposed to be, I think it was like a sales meeting, basically. Like we were talking about the Scout Guide. We
Yeah, that's
didn't
right.
even really know each other. We had some mutual friends at
So
the
it's at
time.
Conga when we were talking?
No, I think it was in your office. Like it was before we ever
gotcha.
even like went out of the office and were a little bit more friendly.
Right.
And I said cervix instead of cervical. And you're like, well, hold on. It's upper cervical.
That's
So, I mean, obviously
confusing,
it's not as easy of a concept for those of us who are not in the medical world, don't know anything about our spines. So break down what that means.
So cervical actually does mean neck. And for what we do, we work with the neck here. For the
Very different word.
The female anatomy, there's another reason it's called the cervical area, because it's the neck of that anatomy, right? So it does make sense. It's just you have to know a little Latin.
That's really nice of you to say it makes sense.
It does.
It really doesn't.
But it makes sense for a practitioner.
Okay.
But meaning like they didn't just, they're
Yeah,
like, oh, these
I
words
get
are
it, I
fine.
get it.
They don't just
I get it.
unify those.
Okay.
It's just to describe.
I
an
thought you were
area.
giving me too much credit. Okay.
No. But yeah, the area that we specialize in is the neck of the spine.
Of the spine.
And it can be confusing because we do take care of a lot of women in our practice as well. And sometimes we even share that, like we take care of a lot of women. And then if somebody's trying to tie in upper cervical, so I see where people get confused. We've been talking about that and just maybe using the words upper spine instead. But I think that's a big question. Some of that we're still solving for.
Yeah.
And even how we describe the problem that's going on, because then people are like, oh, well, I've got a back problem, or I've got sciatica, or I've got migraines.
So he isn't good for me because he's upper.
Because it's an upper neck and I don't have any pain there, and which is not always the case. We take care of a lot of people with complex issues that don't seem like they're related to your neck, but they are.
That is so wild. Yeah. And beyond just the neck, I feel like you guys really, yes, you, I guess, do like a technical adjustment only to the upper spine or the upper neck. But you, as I know firsthand, go so far beyond that. You are very consultative. It's very holistic.
It starts with, I think the personalized health experience.
Totally.
Which is, I think, what we talk about from an experience standpoint. When you're walking in our office, it should be personalized.
Totally.
That has to do with, I think, what just makes healthcare great for humans is that when it's personalized around you,
Not a one size.
People get really frustrated when you're getting compared to some average, or you go in and you have real questions for a doctor, you're getting eye rolls. Oh, you should be lucky or feel lucky because you're young and you're, this or that. And so like your chronic thing couldn't be that bad.
Right.
I have people who are like, their legs are dripping and like off
You're
of
like,
them.
oh,
And they're like,
interesting.
they've got
Didn't know I
this
needed
like,
to be compared to that today.
yeah, they've got no feeling in, any parts of their body, and their hair feels like it's on fire. And
like
you're like,
everyone's 10
whoa,
is different.
Whoa,
Yeah.
And I think that comparison isn't fair to a lot of people, and people don't feel always well taken care of when they go to their practitioners looking for answers in their health. When they've done a lot of research and spent a lot of time worrying, and then they finally get there after like 9 months of waiting for this appointment, you just want to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel like your body's functioning the way it was designed to, you just don't.
No.
It feels like something's off. It feels like something's
true.
out of line, or something's not adding up. You just want to talk to somebody who knows things, who knows cervical from cervical, right? And you don't always get that.
No.
And I think that we expect it. We expect to go into a doctor who got into this profession, did all these years of college, and then they know
really
about,
take
they're
care of
reading
me.
studies, and then you wait, just days and days for these appointments. You get like 3 to 5 minutes in an eye roll. And I think that's where we really wanted to cut off that whole, like that time perception experience and really be intentional about just having good conversations about health.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we do something different when it comes to treatment, but we want to meet people as a resource first.
Totally. I love that. Okay, so you've built this concept called Health House.
Yeah.
I want to break that down.
Okay.
So it's an acronym.
Yes.
Give it to me.
So Health House is to describe the body that you live in. So a lot of people, when they think about their bodies and their health, it may feel a little vague. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I saw this visual of like what I want to look like. Like most people have a vision of what they want their health to feel like. And that's, you know, some combination of what their parents have told them is healthy, their friend who was like a health nut has told them, or a health coach somewhere along the way, a magazine cover, something you saw on social media. You know, there's
just feels
all this
good.
stuff.
Yeah.
So in some ways, when people come in first, they have this sort of melting pot, a soup, if you will, like they're pulling up a ladle and telling me all these things that they see in health. But then they're like, every time I pull it up, something else is different there. And it never feels like I'm quite getting to like really what's working. So I like to let's toss the soup, start over with a brand new picture and start from the ground up. If you build a house, you start with the foundation, right? My dad was a builder. He was a historic renovator and construction. He owned his own construction company. So he would always go into these old homes that were beautiful. They were like, you know, these craftsman style or Victorian homes. And he would start with the foundation. And that's the last thing people are thinking about. They're like, my shutters, my wallpaper, my whatever it is.
Cosmetic.
They want to build the house how it looks visually. But a good foundation will help the house last for years and years. So we start with that conversation around the nervous system, because the nervous system guides everything else in the house. But it's not the sexiest thing, like to start with. It's becoming sexier because it's a fad topic now, you know, where people are like, nervous system regulation, you can do it through everything, cold plunging, you know, breath work, and which is true. You can engage the nervous system in a lot of ways because it is running the show. But all that to say, we start with the nervous system, and what protects the nervous system is the spine. So there's relevancy there from a chiropractic perspective. After you look at stabilizing the nervous system in the spine, then you can look at building your house, and you have your lifestyle pillars. So these are things like diet, rest, emotions, movement. Those are the spaces you live and interact with throughout your week. And then finally, your roof is like what I call your mindset roof, your attitude. It's what you set on top. So the things you have in control are those things on top. A little bit less out of your control are the foundation. That's what we help people with. But that's where we get to the acronym that you ask about. DREAM. Your dream health scenario is diet, rest, emotions, attitude, movement. So you can start every week with like an ideal day. Let's take like Sunday, for example. And then you just set your intentions for each, you know, of those categories.
Diet, rest,
emotions,
attitude,
movement. And it's just really small things that you want to, intentions that you want to put towards those things. And I think what you mentioned habits earlier, it's a work in progress all the time. I was talking to someone yesterday. We were working on a project together. And he was like, yeah, I was like really good at the why, like going 3 times a week. And he's like, I just haven't been able to start back. And he was asking me my advice. And I said, I would just pick one ideal day that you can go and just do the one minimum non-negotiable day. Make time for that, and the rest will kind of fall into place. But if you're just faithful with that like little bit, then the rest will kind of
it's like we're so all or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make 3 days work all the time. It's just not
and it's like, if you can't make the 3 days, then just F it.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
So yeah, I think we have to start really, really small when it comes to habits and have a lot of grace.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, keep getting better at starting.
Yeah. That's, I think, part of it. I was like reading, just refreshing myself on like 75 hard. I think it came up on Instagram or something, and it was
we talked about that yesterday.
Oh, you did?
And it's like, I'm a 75 soft kind of guy.
Yeah, I think I'm like a 75, not right now, but I have other things in my life that are just, I can't. But it's interesting that the principle of it is like when you fail, you start over. So it's like the 75 days resets if you fail in one of the categories or whatever, which I think is the hard version, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think something about that was just interesting to me, because I'm like, okay, so it's like we do just have to get good at starting, because it's like you're going to have to start over. You're going to have to, it's like pick yourself back up and keep moving. Like it's not like we wallow in it for 5 weeks and then we, you know, it's like, no, just start again.
Yeah, and I think 75 hard is good for someone who's already doing a lot of health stuff.
Totally. It's like
I would never
advanced.
recommend
No.
the starting from scratch for someone who's like just trying to get better
Totally.
at continuity.
No, I'm not saying I even believe in that concept actually at all, but it just was interesting that the principle of just starting again and letting it reset.
Yeah.
If something falls through, I was like, it's just like that starting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
And sometimes just that one day like that. I love the ideal day model of just like picking a day that makes the most sense. It's way easier to ask like a partner or someone who's like I have kids. So, can you watch the kids for 2 hours while I get like my plan together for this, get some exercise in, have like 2 hours of self-care where I'm doing a little bit of planning, a little bit of movement, a little bit of rest. And then you've got it done for the week.
Yeah.
And you can sort of breathe and be like, okay, now I can get
I've got
back
my
to
plan.
it. Right.
Yeah. So true. No, I'm definitely more in the season of like, oh, I fail a day. Oh, well, keep trying.
Yeah. That's kind of with the 75 hard thing. What I was going to say is that it's good to have those endpoints. Like, I'm going to do this for 75 days. And maybe you do like 40% of the days.
Right.
And then, but 40% was better than nothing.
Totally.
We're not tracking at all.
Totally.
And then the next time you're like, well, I'm going to do another 75 days. Maybe I can get to 50 or 60%.
So true.
And then gradually over time, you just get better and better.
It becomes part of your life more. Yeah. I love that. Okay, so you have this DREAM acronym, and I love the health house concept. I'm visual, so it's like I always appreciate having kind of that. And it is true. Like, we all have this ideal home we see for ourselves. We've built it over time. Now that we're in our mid to late 30s, like, we probably have our own home, and it does look a certain way because of certain implications. So it's like same principle for your body and yourself. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so Health House and this DREAM acronym, is it something you're only using in the office with your patients? Do you have other plans for it?
Yeah, we actually this year are going to be launching the online Health House Academy, which I haven't even talked to you about.
And who's we?
When I say we, I'm always referring to my practice because I think Erin and I own our practice.
Okay, I love it.
So it's
I'm
half woman owned because my wife, she's still a part of it. But and then Angie, our assistant, is part of the we.
Love it.
But yeah, we are launching Health House Academy. I am, and that's something that I built years ago, probably a couple years ago. I think it's really good. I've just not ever launched it because we've been doing so many other things. But
what'll that look like?
What we do now is, and by the way, if I don't know when this will be released, but we do with the Chattery these Health House Habits to Build a Healthy Home classes. So they've been in-person classes, but there's like workbooks and there's a whole like you can do for 6 weeks. So the Academy will have that process, and it's meant to teach you how to like design and create a template for how you want to walk in your health, right? Walk your life out in your health. And you do the DREAM acronym, you go through what I call like the 3 A's, which is like awareness, action, accountability. So you kind of go through a cycle of testing for yourself. And it's kind of getting to that idea of like this is not so much about a performance, which can create a lot of anxiety and overwhelm. It's one more thing you have to do. It's more of the practice of adding these things out, over time. What I love about it too is the principles there are simple enough that you can teach them to children.
Yeah.
And so then for people who are like, I want to make sure my kids know healthy habits, how to do these things, you can also teach those same principles to your kids. This is just how we keep up with it as a family. It's part of our family culture that we celebrate health. We talk about some of those things. And then kids are on board. They're
That's
like,
awesome.
They see you doing it. And that's the best way to teach kids is just to like
model it.
Right. And it's, again, I'm saying these things from a place of we're not anywhere near perfect, but it's just the try kind of thing. Like we don't want to stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's just something that stays in motion.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so online Health House Academy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's right.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Chattanooga Shoe Company. If you know me, you know I'm obsessed with shoes. It's probably my main addiction when it comes to shopping. One reason I love shoes is they fit in every season of life, and they can still be that statement piece in an outfit. Chattanooga Shoe Company not only curates styles that are cutting edge in the fashion world, but also their shoes are by far the most comfortable pairs that I own. Instead of only wearing the big brands like Adidas and UGG, I love wearing things that not everybody else has. And Chattanooga Shoe Company has introduced me to brands from all over the world that I would have never otherwise known existed. I get compliments on my shoes just about every single day, and I'm so proud when I get to say they're from Chattanooga Shoe Company. Use code HOTC for 10% off your purchase when you shop online at chattanoogashoe.com.
Okay, what about this book? What about this
my
book
gosh.
that's been swirling out there in your sphere?
Yeah, so there's a story there.
Okay.
And it's kind of a hard story because it was sort of at this place in practice where we got into a level where we felt really good. I developed some of this IP, Health House, and I wanted to put it into a book. So I invested some money in this, top tier self-publishing company called Scribe, and they're in Austin, Texas. Went for the trip, went for the workshop. This is like an $18,000 investment.
Wow.
Get through these like workshops and the whole book scene. If you've never been a part of it, it's like you can self-publish or you can have a publisher pick things up for you, and there's not as much cost in that, but they own more rights to your book. From the self-publishing standpoint, you own more rights. You can make more money off of it, off the book in longevity, but you just have more rights of how it's used and put out there. That's why we wanted to do it that way. But that company went bankrupt. So,
Are you kidding
the
me?
CEO that was running that company, kind of, I think after COVID was just like pushing, and maybe it's just an oversight and like the overhead and all that. But so a lot of authors lost their deals, lost their money. And I was I've got a group text with like 4 other like C-suite guys that were like writing books. And a couple of them have written and published theirs. Me and another guy and, several of the other authors in our cohort were just like left with our draft. But
sorry.
that's why it's been on the back burner for a long time, because it's another big investment to try to put into that. So that was tough.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, over the years we've been kind of left with the first draft when I got out of that.
Yeah.
I got through at least writing the whole thing and getting feedback on it.
Yeah.
So that was great. I then hired an editor that I worked with actually this past year, and he helped to get me some clarity and flow. So I've got most of the content I want in that book now. But one thing that was just such a blessing from that is it put me back into this like love for writing again, and kind of how to get ideas out there. So I've been in that creative process of just writing, and it's one of those things that Amy, I have to be so patient. Like there are a lot of things that I have that I want to put out there in the world, but everything requires capital. And like every time you're trying to make a decision that, from a small business perspective, it could affect your family, could affect your clientele. And we saw that even from COVID,
Wow.
past, having to pivot, trying to invest in a book project, trying to make investments. Every time you put not just your family on the line, but people who depend on you in your practice.
So true.
If you went out of business, then it's like all these people that are left without a home that they had found for their health,
for their care. Wow.
So I just have had to get into this place in my life where I'm more comfortable just knowing that it will at some day be out there.
It will.
And I've just got to work on myself. It feels a little bit like an artist, just like not, in some ways just working on my craft or whatever it is. And not all of it's out there. I have a lot of stuff I've built over the years that it's just, I don't sell or have, so it's tough, and it's not impacting anyone right now other than it being inside of me.
Yeah.
Inside my computer.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Sorry I teed you up for a hard story. I had no idea.
That's okay. Yeah. that's something that like over the years, I think we'll get to in the right time. It'll just come in the right
absolutely.
time.
And it's going to be out there.
I have hope for that. The other thing that's funny about writing a book is you start and then you're like, this gives me an idea for these other things. So
True. I bet that's hard because it's a long form project. It's not like you can just start and publish it in 3 months. And it's like, and then you evolve as a person, your ideas and your priorities evolve, your business priority, all the things. So then, I can so see how that would continue to Ignite, put on the backfire. Ignite, put on the back back
When you
burner.
realize how helpful books are, I mean, I think we're in a digital age, but books are, I mean, one, they're great for your brain
Yeah.
to be able to read and sit and keep your
Yeah.
attention. But you can pack so much into it. And when I think about the libraries and libraries full of books of people who have made, written things over the years, there's just so much we have available to us.
So true.
But, we're all still like just consuming these like little bits of things, looking for meaning and reason and ways to live our life better that sometimes it's already out there. Somebody's written about it.
Yeah, so true. Okay, you alluded earlier to the fact that you focus a lot on women's health in your practice, and I would love to just kind of deep dive a little on that. Like what draws you to women's care? Like what inspired that and like really gives you passion for that?
Yeah, I think that story goes back to Erin and my wife when she was looking for answers for her migraines. I don't know if you know that story
No, I
either
don't.
or need a reminder.
Man, I'm glad we did
With
this
it,
today.
yeah.
I'm learning
Well,
so much.
So the whole reason I got into this work and the specialty that I'm in is because Erin was dealing with these debilitating migraines. We're probably a year into chiropractic school at this point. This would have been 12 years ago.
Okay.
And I was a chiropractic student, and we had access to every type of chiropractic you can think of, right? And it was all interesting. There's lots of different ways to help people. But she was going to a chiropractor who was good, well-intentioned, very kind. But every time she would go in, she would need an adjustment. And she wasn't getting any better. He kept saying like, well, let's just let your nervous system do the work. He was saying all the right things, but she wasn't getting any better. And he also wasn't doing additional testing. So we had a friend that had some pretty rough migraines and found some results with this guy, Dr. Tony, who ended up being my mentor. And his practice was totally different. Like he did slow things down when we came in. He did a lot of, like, we chatted with him for a long time. We did a lot of thorough testing, way more than we'd done anywhere else so far. He did scans of her nervous system, these x-rays that had motion with them. So he actually like moved her spine and took pictures of how her bones were moving, because he said that just a picture, a still picture would only show like maybe how it's misaligned, but wouldn't show how it's actually stuck. If it was stuck, that was a bigger problem than, just something that looked misaligned. So he did find that the problem that she had would not have shown up on any of these typical spinal exams that you would have done in a chiropractic office. So, and I can attest to that. Like when I would check her and what I was learning, it was like all of her muscles were tight on the right and her restrictions were on the right and everything was on the right. So a lot of the testing would show you to look to the right side. The only thing that was an indicator of her problem were those additional x-rays and the scans that he took tied to them. But those additional x-rays told him that there was a bone that was stuck in her upper neck that was causing problems to her nervous system and her ability to heal. And so she was stuck in this like pattern of dysfunction. And he adjusted that side and she started to recover. And so like in that first month, she stopped having them so frequently, so severe. By the end of 6 months, because she was having probably 2 and 3 episodes a week. So like these are long hours at night, me like lifting up on her head. She's like tears in her eyes, tears in my eyes. Like we were both suffering a lot during that time, trying to like make it to work, having sick days, throwing up, just feeling awful. Migraines are really rough. So she actually recovered completely after doing she did 6 months with him and got to where she was like 1 time a month.
Wow.
And then did another year, and they actually went away together all together, which doesn't always happen, but that was a really awesome result for her.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So it started with her, and I think it got deeper when I started to look at taking care of clients in my own office. It was women a lot of times that were coming with research and caring for their entire families, including their husbands. And men can be pretty stubborn about seeking out health. I don't know if you knew that.
Huh, interesting.
But women are these great caretakers, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for the way that they think, the way they nurture, the way that they take care of themselves, their families, communities. And So I got really inspired by this kind of world of healthcare that women are a part of. Now, what's interesting is that like healthcare knows this about women, and they just manipulate the heck out of women's emotions, fear-based, shame-based, action, decision-making. And it's like, telling people, do you care about your family? Like, you need to make this decision, or like making them feel bad about questions they ask. I have questions about, vaccines, or questions about diet, or like I have questions about neurodifferences in my kids. Eye roll, shoulder shrug, shame, fear. And that's what they get in return. And it's just like nuts to me to think that someone who is like coming well-intentioned, not getting the answers they need. And so that's where it's just like, to me, it just baffles me what women have had to put up with.
Yeah.
And I think it's just where I got to that point where I was like, I want to start taking special care to make sure that we're a good place for women.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely felt, and I've experienced it firsthand. And there are, plenty of appointments that I come in and I don't get adjusted. And, sometimes that's for people who are used to traditional chiropractic.
Yeah.
That's their marker of a successful appointment. Like, oh, I got adjusted. It feels so much better. I actually prefer not to get adjusted because, I have that, like, it's just like a weird.
Well, it's in some ways too. We talk about that.
Yeah.
When you're not getting adjusted, it means you're holding integrity in your spine.
Exactly.
If you do need an adjustment, it means something's off.
Yeah. Which is, you always, all my adjustments have always been great, but it's just like, every time I leave, I feel such a sense of feeling heard, which is huge, because a lot of rooms that you walk in throughout your day, not just because I'm a woman, but just because everyone's moving fast and no one's really spending time, like really checking in with each other. I always feel really checked in on, and you're so intentional and such a good, just safe space for that.
Yeah.
And then, whether it's just like the resting chair or the body work that you do, you just go above and beyond. And I mean, I'm not just blowing smoke. I really do feel that extra care and passion you have for others, but especially as a woman, I've always felt really safe and really, really seen with you. So thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
And I know, we won't be the best fit for everyone all the time.
Yeah.
And
No one
also
will.
to your point about like getting adjusted, not every adjustment is sometimes it shakes things up in the body.
That's
and
happened to me.
Yeah. I think on the other end of that, it's also being intentional about checking in and talking, because it can be really complex. People misunderstand me and what my intentions are, even with how much I care about people.
Yeah.
I've had, people before think like, are you, what is this about? Why am I feeling bad? And it's like, we've got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because it could be a part of you getting better. It could also be something where we need to change something clinically.
Yeah.
And you would expect that from any good practitioner. Mm-hmm. But I think, to that point, we always try to just do our best to make sure people feel they're in good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was after an adjustment. I remember it's only happened once, and I'm sure that this is fairly common because it's part of the body doing its work of like recovery. But I felt like shit after an adjustment. And it was like the only thing I could really think of that I had done differently. And I remember I felt totally safe enough to text you and be like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Right. I really feel like, and you warned that. I don't think that just was like me putting two and two together from nowhere. You say, hey, after an adjustment, some of these things can happen.
Yeah.
And so, but it felt so nice that you were like immediately responsive. You were like, hey, come back in tomorrow. Let's just check in.
Right.
Da-da-da-da. And it's just, I mean, it's not your typical form of healthcare. Like you would never be able to text your PCP and be like, hey, after hours. I'm sure it was like after I got the kids down, and it's like, an inappropriate time to be texting at 8:30 p.m., you know, but
at the same time, you're at home and you're feeling nervous, and I know what that feels like too.
Yeah.
And I mean, to your point, it actually doesn't happen all the time. When it does happen, it's something that I do care about.
Yeah.
And I would say it happens a certain percentage of the time. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But that's the case with any healthcare treatment practice, you name
totally.
it. Like
Any
we're
medicine
in
you
the PT
take,
setting and dry needling and acupuncture.
Yes,
Even
totally.
in medical practices, where they've like delivered a shot or something like that.
Yeah.
Go to the dentist. There are all those things, but it's like you do want to sometimes have that reassurance that either there's a next step that means I can still be well taken care of, or what's going on and you're not surprised by it.
Totally.
And I'm not usually.
Yeah.
But it is something where we want to create that assurance for people.
Yeah, and you do.
Yeah.
Really well.
This episode is brought to you by Sweet Ease Children's Boutique. Sweet Ease has the best selection of kids' clothes from newborn all the way through teen. And especially as a boy mom, it is so nice to have styles and options that actually fit our vibe. The sweat sets, the cool trucker hats, the shoes, but of course also the holiday jammies and the special occasion outfits. They've got everything. They have 2 locations in Chattanooga. They do personalization with their monogramming in-house, and they have a full online store. Use code HOTC for 10% off your entire purchase in-store or online.
Thanks.
Okay, so beyond the Dr. Chris Collins, you also are just like such a man of the community. You're teaching the classes at the Chattery. You find time to socialize. You invest your time in, like you just said, I was with a friend last night working on a project. Like, you have your hands in a lot of different areas and types of things. How do you keep up with it all? Like, how do you know what is a yes, great opportunity versus just something that you either feel obligated to go to or be a part of or say yes to? I mean, how do you navigate that? Especially being a dad and a husband. I mean, you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, I don't have a great answer. I mean, I think it's something I hope to learn this year too, in some ways. The boundary setting is going to become more and more important as, our practice continues to grow, my family continues to grow. That's not a pregnancy announcement. Every time I say like when my family's growing, I'm like, my kids are growing.
Yeah, exactly. Your family's always growing, yeah.
But we're not pregnant. No, but yeah, I think that there is a level of discernment that I try to hold. I really care about the human nature of life. It's like we were talking earlier about social media and how that sort of dehumanizes us in some ways. It's why we can feel so overwhelmed and not want to socialize, even though we probably need it.
Totally.
And, I think that if it comes to meeting with someone, I try to make that happen if I can. I can't always meet with all the people I want to. I'm a very social person, though. I really enjoy it. And I love like getting out in the evenings. But, most of the time I'm doing bedtime and reading to my kids. I still make time for that. And Erin is on board with that, too, because she knows it makes me who I am to be able to be social. But yeah, and from a community side, I really care about the Chattanooga community because we were welcomed in with such open arms. I want to continue to spread that message that the Chattanooga way is this, like, come in, be a part of the family, be a Chattanoogan.
Yeah.
And this might be the place for you. And, it's why I think a lot of times when people do come in to the city, they're like, why do I want to move here now? And then other people are like, you should move here.
I do hear that a lot, yeah.
And that's kind of how
That's
Erin and I
sweet.
felt when we came. And I think that I'm a steward of that too, being a Chattanoogan. I'm a steward of the, as a small business owner, I try to also think about how to support small businesses. I think about it every time I make a decision, like a purchasing decision that's not in town. I'm like,
I know,
I'm feeling
right?
like kind of rough about this.
Yeah.
But you do what you can. I mean, you can't do everything as perfectly as you may want. And, but I do try to be intentional about it. That comes back to some of that planning. It's like setting the tone of each week with intention. How do I follow up? How do I check in on people? My rule for sending silly voice memos is that if I just feel like it on the spot, and I'm like, you know what?
Just do it.
I just need to do it.
I've been on the receiving end, and it's awesome.
Well, I only said it because we talked about it earlier. But yeah.
I've had a song or two sung to me
You've
by
had a
Chris
song.
Collins
You've had a
over
song.
a voice memo, and I've replied with a song.
That's right. You are a great singer. People may not know that about Amy Walters. She can carry a tune.
You also have the music. Yeah, you're a musician.
You got the music in you.
We got that music thing going,
That's right.
Okay, so your extracurriculars tether to this new project of 2025 that we like to call Love Local Chat. It was
2026. Well, Love Local Chat's we've been doing that for maybe a couple years.
Wait, what? I thought it started in 2025.
We've been more consistent in 2025.
Okay.
Technically, Love Local Chat started.
The actual podcast.
Yeah, the podcast started a couple years ago with Bree.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me about it. Tell me how it's evolved. What's the vision? I mean,
for those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
Love Local Chat, and I have people come up to me all the time. They're like, "Why do I know your face?" And I'm like, "It's probably from Love Local Chat." I used to get also, "You're the gift card guy," because during 2020 was when this all started. Small businesses were like really suffering because we all had to close down.
I know.
by the way, I know it may not seem relevant to bring up 2020. We cannot move on without saying, like, 2020 was a huge, impactful year that we'll always have to talk about.
Always.
I think in our communities, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like a big moment for
Well,
history.
it's kind of like when someone dies in your life, it feels wrong like 5 years later, 6 years later, that like no one talks about them anymore. I think it's a similar principle. Like it was a huge milestone for a lot of us, and it's okay to reference. I mean, it shapes who we are today.
Well, and it has shaped how we are culturally now.
Yeah, totally.
It changed a lot.
Totally.
So in 2020, the big thing that happened, as most of you know, the plug was pulled from a lot of small businesses. And one thing I knew about people's patterns and behavior was that we were just out of routine of supporting small businesses, getting out of our homes and going somewhere, pulling out a card and like, or getting something and having a transaction at a small business. So we started to do these gift cards for the community. And we were like, well, I'm not gonna, this is also the time of like, there was, social media, anything that you posted was not gonna do well because there was so much else out there, at the time. And so we were like, our ad budget, for marketing, let's just put some of it towards gift cards. So we would do like $100 card a week to these different small businesses and then tell the community to go and use them, which was a lot of fun, actually. I loved like the benevolent side of like, go use this money. Yeah, it's really fun. People get stoked on it. They're like, I had someone reach out. They're like, I'm so glad you did Roots Cafe because my kids have all these dietary restrictions and like we couldn't use so many of the other cards. And then you did Roots.
That's so sweet.
And then we were able to go there because we're like, they had some vegan stuff going on. And so it was cool to see how that unfolded. And then what we changed that into, when we did several, like once we got back into social stuff, we got to hear some small businesses present. We did like these events where we would feature small businesses.
So this was before it was in a podcast?
This is since 2020.
Yeah, okay.
And then we changed it to a podcast format.
Okay.
Because...
and was Bree always involved?
Well, Bree was involved from the beginning of the podcast.
That's what I thought.
So Brianna Garza, who's one of my like business besties in town, she was like, yes, in fact, it's just a good excuse to hang out with you.
Nice.
So we started that. And then we brought Mackenzie Bergen back on last year. So she's been awesome because me and Bree are a little bit like shoot from the hip.
Squirrel brain.
And actually not always, I'm an organized guy in a lot of ways in my health, but not always with some of these things. So Mackenzie helped really make things consistent with us.
Nice.
And she's like always, on it. So that's, she's been a big part of last year. And she has Pear Charm Bar, but she's got a whole list of amazing things that she does as well.
Jane of all trades, yeah.
Yeah, you should have her on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's about to have a baby, but so anyways, I'm just so fortunate to like be around a bunch of awesome small business owners, but then we got to start interviewing people like we did. Your episode actually did really well. And then the one we did in the beginning where like women who run chat. And I was just thinking about that again recently because I was talking to Aaron about like, there's so many women entrepreneurs in Chattanooga who are like just incredibly successful. Like, so many small businesses are.
That's a cool angle.
To me, doing really well because of the women who run chat. So it kind of just folds back into that, like, man, women are just such good nurturers, caretakers for the city and community as well. So anyways, that's like a discombobulated way to share. The big reason for doing that is to support, those small town vibes as our city grows into a bigger city. And to that point of the Chattanooga way, we want it to feel like this is a homey place to come, settle down, run a business, have a family, grow a family. And I think it's what makes our city a healthy city too. So that comes back to my mission to, create great health resources for the community.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man, Chris, you have so many amazing just talents and passions, and I always feel so inspired when I'm with you. Thanks. And I've so enjoyed our time today.
Yeah.
A couple closing, just kind of, let's see. I want to know about a patient interaction that has stayed with you the longest.
Patient interaction. Okay. Oh, I love this one. So I have this one. It's so interesting because many of my patients are referred in from other patients. And so this patient actually came in because of another little girl that we took care of, but it's when I started to take care of kids. And one of the first kids I started to take care of, she had neurodifferences. And the mom was like, I know about upper cervical. I've done my research. I really want you to take care of her. And I was like, we have these pediatric chiropractors in town. Like, they've got all these qualifications. She was like, I want her to come to you. So I started with that kid, and she got great results with us. And then part of me working with her, I got a focus certification to take care of neurodifferences.
Wow.
And really understand the brain and how kids are expressing and how it differs now in our day and age with what kids are exposed to. But parents really need to understand a lot of like the behavior side of things, like what's going on from the input and what they're getting on the expression side. So sometimes they're looking for those resources, researching them, and you've got to, be up to speed on how kids' brains are changing. So that started this referral system of me, like, or a referral chain of kids coming in. And one of the next kids that came in was referred by that mom.
Oh.
And he had these chronic ear infections, double ear infections. His mom was like, you're my last resort before tubes. And she brought him in. I was like, I think I can help him. He had an upper cervical issue, so an upper neck fixation that was where it stuck vertebra up there that was causing some problems with that area. He did amazing. They had been having chronic ear infections for like 2 years at this point, and they were just at a loss and feeling really, hopeless. And so he did really great. Then the dad comes in this one time, and I've learned that he didn't know that he was coming in. And so it was this whole, like, he found out later after the fact, after he got some results. And then it was like,
Wait, he was coming in bringing his child?
no, the mom was bringing the child, but she didn't really let the dad know.
That she had
And then he
scheduled him
found
an
out later,
appointment.
and then he was like, if he hurts this, my kid, that's on you, this and that. Are you willing to?
I see.
And he's an awesome guy. He was just like, he was
Super
concerned.
protective, yeah.
As you can imagine. And so it's something we laugh about now, that in the moment, it was probably a little tense. And then fortunately, everything just went well. She's like, he's so gentle. Like, you would be surprised. If you met him, you would not think he's weird. So he comes in one time, the dad. First time I ever met him, he had just gotten a haircut across the road. And then he comes in, we start talking, and he's like, I'm just so surprised you're not, like, weird.
Wait, that's amazing.
And he was like, you're like an actual doctor. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you expected. And he's like, I've always heard crazy things about chiropractors. And he's like, well, let me ask you this, doc. And so then he goes into this, I got hit in the head with a log from his excavator, and I have this crazy he was having these crazy migraine headaches. His whole left side was like all this radiating pain into his arms. He was like hardly sleeping, hardly eating, felt like crap. All of this stuff that I was like, dude, you're like my perfect kind of patient to take
let me
care
get
of.
my hands on you.
And so he's like, well, let's set up a testing. So we did the testing. He got better. And then finally the mom, of course, it's always the mom who's last coming in. She finally comes in, and we've taken care of her through a cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
We've supported her through a lot. And she had a car accident. We were able to take care of her through that. That was all covered by an attorney that we partner with. And so we've been through a long road with that family, but I love taking care of them so much. And that's like the whole thing, is that people sometimes they're like, you'll love him. I cry every time I go in, and I'm like, we don't cry right away.
Yeah, you're like, you don't have to cry.
It's just like, and one.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that cries.
Yeah. One man who inspired me a lot was to become a doctor was my primary care physician, and he was very human in that way. He was just like, he was a medical doctor. He had a cow farm, and he was just like a regular guy, right? And but he just cared. You could see it. And he would do house visits for my grandmother and brought her an orchid. Aww. And that just way of practicing meant so much to us.
That's so special.
So I hope in some way I can like even do a little bit of that level of intention of just like, we're humans, and it's not always easy to figure out health, and we want to make it a little easier.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I almost forgot a quick little game.
Yeah.
It's first thought, best thought. Okay, so just
First-
whatever comes to mind here.
Let me drink.
Health trend you're tired of.
Health trend I'm tired of. First thought that comes to mind, probably stuff like 75 hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, a local business that instantly makes you smile.
Sleepyhead Coffee does come to mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
love! Shouts out.
I don't get to go there as often as I would like to, but I love Sleepyhead.
Yeah, they are a good one. Something people think is healthy that usually isn't.
Think is healthy that's usually is not. Oh man, there's so much stuff. I don't. Okay. Because I don't like first thought that comes to mind. My mind goes blank. The answer, I mean, this is typical me. The answer to that is so convoluted because there is some truth to like most things that people think are healthy. What is not healthy is this whole, if I do more of this, then I will be healthier. If I do more D3, if I do more cold plunges,
Collagen,
and this is a
whatever.
balance of stress on your body and not,
Yeah.
it's like you need to do like, your body like needs a requisite amount of something and like moderation is the way. So just like doing more is what hurts a lot of people.
More isn't more.
Yeah.
Okay, I
More
like
is
it.
more stress, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A word you're trying to live into this year.
Harmony.
Ooh. Okay. Something that instantly grounds you.
My home.
Oh.
Yeah.
One word that describes Chattanooga right now.
Sleepy.
Sleepy.
Yeah, I think Chattanooga is sleepy.
Okay. Something you're proud of but don't talk much about.
My relationship with my dad.
Oh, love that. Oh, Chris, you're such a good guy. All right, last one, best one. Fill in the blank. The heart of the specific is
The people.
people.
Yeah, the people. I think it comes back to those like, you never know how far reaching one small action can make on a person's life. You know, it's like you have that moment right then, and that may impact some moment that they have or impact the way they talk to their kids or the way that they feel about themselves. So yeah, it's those moments with people that we can take for granted, but that matter the most.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yay. Thanks, Chris. You're the best.
Thanks. You too.